Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special Reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I bring on a guest that I had on in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him on back. So today's guest is Mike Fidgeon, who is the Chief Business Development Officer over at Heudia Health. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Adam. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. So excited to get into what you're doing. I mean, and today's topic, I mean, we've got a couple things to discuss. I'm really interested in what's going on in community-based healthcare, and we got some other things, Opportunity Zone. But before we do that, we had a great year on the podcast, and thanks in part to guests like you who came on the show. I don't want to assume that all the new listeners heard that other episode. So let's just start with what you're doing over at Heudia Health. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yeah, sure. I think the last time we talked, it was probably more along the lines of my prior work with within home and community-based services. We had touched on, we even touched on your personal story of your mom being a social worker for almost 40 years, if I remember correctly, and we touched a little bit on social entrepreneurship, and I was just getting into the work with Heudia at that time. I was in an advising and consulting capacity. I'm now, as you mentioned, in the Chief Business Development Officer role. So, in short, the Heudia Health business is a technology-driven healthcare company. Its purpose is to empower individuals to live healthier, more productive lives using a cloud-based network forming framework that's specifically designed to connect very vulnerable, hard-to-reach, hard-to-serve people with the optimum set of attainable health, social services, education, and economic services, also known broadly as social determinants of health. And Heudia earns its revenue from healthcare providers, and we're also expanding into the payer space.
So, I mean, you have a unique vantage point. I mean, working on everything from, the private equity side to obviously working with Heudia, and you've been in the industry for a while. What interests you right now? Like, what excites you in healthcare right now?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I having come out of a corporate role where no 2 days were the same, but the type of organization as a provider service organization certainly had its routines and its flows. To the consulting advising space has been a unique shift for me, and so I'm able to dabble in a lot of things of interest. This social determinants of health, which is really a repackaged buzzword for things like financial services, food scarcity, nutrition needs of people. Basically, that people's health is largely driven by their ability to meet basic needs, housing, transportation. And there are just a lot of people that are coming to discover something that I think we've known for a long time, that our healthcare system is extremely reactive, and the point of intervention is typically after these problems that fall to social determinants of health have gone unaddressed for a long time. So there's a lot of innovation in this space, both in the provision of services as well as technology to accelerate the delivery, the access, and the efficiency of care models.
I think you touched on one thing, and when you say the efficiency and the technology that's being brought to it, I mean, and I forget there's so many techs, right? So FinTech, this, that. Let's say it's health tech. It might be health tech. I don't know, but I just see like the efficiencies just improving. I mean, obviously, I have the vantage point of being lucky to do this show every day, and I talk to like smart people like you that are making improvements in health and healthcare for many different areas. Whether it's devices, whether it's long-term, I mean, whether it's the paper side of things, whether it's back office. all these things add up to me and to me being hopeful, as I get older, as I get, knowing that one day we're all going to need this, some type of health care or health or assistance in our lifetimes at some point. I mean, I'm getting hopeful with all these innovations. I'm like, I want to wake up in the morning. I'll tell you my perfect morning when I'm up there in age, Mike. I want to wake up, have my robot pick me up, maybe somebody bring me something else. I want a house full of robots and fun things like that, and just to talk, right? It's not going to be Alexa. Who knows what it's going to be? It's just going to talk. But whatever it is, it's just going to take care of me, and I'm all right with that. That being said, I want to let's get a little bit further into, I do want to go into some of these opportunity zones that you find in business, or qualified opportunity zone in business. So let's expand on that one a little bit more.
Yeah, so, shifting away from healthcare technology and into qualified opportunity zones, and with this opportunity or this topic in particular, I'll be cautious not to reveal names of groups I'm working with, since I'm not in a employment capacity. I'm in a consulting capacity, but one of the organizations that I really, really groove on is actually involved in building an assembly line for opportunity zone financing of social determinant of health interventions, which really is, I mentioned what social determinants of health are. Opportunity zone and opportunity zone funding is something that came out of the current administration. In a nutshell, it allows for tax shelters, for investments in area codes, zip codes that are largely impoverished and underserved, and allows investors to put their money in there for extended period of time, gain a tax advantage, while at the same time investing in particular social impact interventions. It can be infrastructure, it can be services. There's a lot of people that have moved in this space initially in real estate, but as people become more familiar, aware, and comfortable with these models, we're seeing more service-oriented types of models come to play. The group that I've been working with and really think is phenomenal is an Opportunity Zone Fund that makes major investments in this area of social determinants of health with Medicare Advantage and Medicaid plans, with states and accountable care organizations. And so the organization serves as a broker model with a deal flow assembly line that basically allows a lead investor, their financial backers like a PE, to capitalize these underserved communities through evidence-based and research-based interventions in the healthcare and behavioral healthcare and social service space.
When you say interventions, I mean, what does that look like? I want to make sure I wrap my head around this.
I'm sorry. Say that again. When
you say interventions, I want to wrap my head around this. What do you mean by that? So
so in this model, the broker is kind of the group that's bringing together the money and a primary client, which is typically a health plan, that Medicare Advantage plan or accountable care organization, that has a particular population that is in need because they fall within that social determinant of health need category, in that they lack transportation, housing, nutrition sufficiency, et cetera. And a lot of times these health plans are, it's not the way they're designed or equipped to build their own networks to deliver interventions within those populations, but they're at risk for insuring them. So the broker of this helps to build models with the health plans and brings in vendors in a JV, a joint venture type model that allows for unique interventions. Say it's a certain part of an urban area where diabetes is costing the health plan a lot of money. It may be a case in which you intervene with a organization that can work within underneath the funding, the flow of money from the health plan in an incentivized, maybe a value-based way, but make interventions that are bringing 3 diabetic meals a day to those people. In fact, the research has shown a 2/3 improvement in overall cost in many markets where that very intervention I just mentioned has been implemented. So whether it's the example of diabetes or homelessness, in the case of places like Los Angeles County, or even infrastructure and overall needs, say Puerto Rico as an example, or an opioid crisis in Connecticut. These are all things that can be funded through qualified opportunity zone funds, but often require some subject matter expertise to bring the people and services together to execute.
Man, that's awesome, Mike. I love it. And I thought that's where you're going with it, but I needed some more from you on that one, because that's amazing. And I'm glad you put a tangible example in that. So meaning the 3 meals a day, and maybe 2/3 cost low. That's really significant. And obviously you're also, we're talking on the business side for that, but then you're also just really improving the quality of living for a lot of people. So that's awesome. Like, it's win-win all the way around there. So Mike, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information over on Heudia Health, what's the best way for them to get that info?
Yeah, I typically direct people to my LinkedIn at Mike Fidgeon. My last name is spelled Fidgeon. I think you'll have it on your podcast, and you'll be able to find all my information there, phone numbers and email addresses and the like.
Awesome. Well, hey, Mike, I can talk to you a whole lot more about this. I have a whole lot more questions for you, but we're about out of time for today. Looking forward. I'm going to have to tap you on the shoulder to get you on a reunion 2021 episode. Definitely looking forward to that. So thanks again for coming on the show. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Mike, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam. It's always great to talk to you.